Today I am sharing a powerful conversation with a client, a brilliant entrepreneur, to explore how taking a holistic approach to her health not only transformed her well-being, but rippled into her business, her energy, and her clarity. This is what happens when we heal from the root. So, Manpreet, you and I worked together, I think it's been about 2 years now, hasn't it? Um, so really why I wanted for this interview to take place was just to get a little bit dialogue between ourselves, and just really talk about your journey. So what was it that made you want to work with me in the first place? I mean, there's so many practitioners out there, especially in the health space. So what was it?
Yeah, so actually, I don't know if you remember this. Actually, we did an Instagram live together on my channel, talking about trauma, and there was just a number of things that you touched on around like making the health changes and how like it wasn't just about like doing the health changes, that there was so much else going on, like mentally and emotionally. And as somebody that's had a background history of like really disordered eating, so I can be really controlling and like be super, super clean. And then I can just like be like the other end. And when I'd worked with nutritionists before, um, like it's almost like that was frowned upon and shamed upon. So it was almost like something I would hide. And then I couldn't talk to them about it. Whereas I really felt like you really understood that sort of mental, emotional, and the trauma element to my relationship with food and with my body. So I think that was a really big selling point to me about you and your approach. That I felt like you were a really safe place that was going to help me to address that. Partly the reason why I came to you was because I had maybe the 6 months before I'd had a miscarriage. And a year prior to that, I'd had some tests and they were showing like signs of autoimmune markers. Hormones were generally okay, but lots of autoimmune and cholesterol and like all of these different health issues. And then the practitioner I worked with at the time, she was very harsh with me and like kind of, I felt like it like almost ignored that trauma part of me. And I didn't really make much progress. I ignored it. I got pregnant and then I lost a baby. So it was when I was speaking, I was looking for the right person for me that I felt safe to explore, like why I was sort of trapped in this loop with my health and my body, as I'm somebody that knows a lot about health and things, so I shouldn't be like that. But yeah, so it was just that you were really safe, trauma informed, and you were coming from this issue from many different angles, not just like you're a nutritionist, so this is what you must eat.
Right, yeah. And I feel like it is important, really, which is why I keep my approach really holistic, because there is no other way, really. If you're not addressing the whole being, all these layers that are really important, it is really hard to make change because, where do our habits come from? I can tell you exactly what need to eat, but habit forming can be quite slow, can't it? Because we've got patterns of behavior and programming, from childhood that is just there. And until we don't start to work on that, it's obviously really difficult. So the next question I have for you is, before we started working together, what were the biggest struggles, sort of mentally, physically, emotionally?
I was extremely burnt out. So I was really, my nervous system was in a really bad way. So I was anxious all of the time. I didn't sleep very well. I was just very, very like stressed and busy all of the time. I didn't feel like I had space even to like make myself a healthy meal. I felt like a crazy like animal basically. So I literally felt like I couldn't see straight. And so that was one of the really big issues. Obviously, the fertility side of things as well. And I'd also put on like quite a bit of weight. And even if I tried to be healthy or not, like it just wouldn't kind of go. So those were some of the really big things, like the sleep, the weight, and then the markers within the bloods as well. So the autoimmune markers were quite high in certain areas. And there was loads of other things that were really out of whack. So when we first started working, I think the fact that you addressed my nervous system pretty much straight away was like, oh my God, like such, like it allowed me to see again. You know, I'd been so disconnected from my own intuition, my own inner voice because of that dysregulation in the nervous system, and like the supplements that you put me on, that really helped me to start to feel less overwhelmed, that I could actually make some of the health changes that we spoke about.
Amazing. And how did our holistic approach help you, like not just heal, but really kind of transform and align, back to yourself? So I know you said the nervous system, that was a massive one.
Yeah. So I don't think you even realize when you say certain things that really were making me think. So I still had a very busy schedule as an entrepreneur. And so you like never shamed me for like eating pizza or having alcohol or all the things I was doing to not feel my emotions. But you were like, just start to notice why you're doing some of these things. And like you weren't like, obviously you knew that it's a good idea for me to eat a certain way, but I had some very strong patterns that were repeating, and almost like you gave me some courage to actually go there and see what they were showing me. And I began to see that a really big problem was the way I was running my business and the way I was prioritizing it ahead of myself, the way it was organized. So even though we were talking about nutrition, we were talking about stress, we were talking about, all of these things, I started to notice myself where the problems were. So it started with like changing the framework of my work, and that has been an ongoing process since we've worked together, and it gets better all the time. And then really looking at the relationships around me. So there was a number of relationships that I didn't feel very safe in that would trigger these patterns of behavior. So it was almost like that holistic side of things gave me the opportunity, because I was only going to food because of fear and anxiety, and it actually had nothing to do with the food. And I think your approach of being able to get me to looking deeper about why some of these things were happening, and also not making them not okay, meant I did them. Like so, and then I would feel into how I felt before, how I felt afterwards, what was going on. And so what really happened was I went through this journey of every month kind of noticing patterns and releasing them. I just had so many, to be honest, which is why it's been an ongoing journey for like a couple of years at this point, because there was just so much that I had to be shedded and released. But already with the work that we were doing and all of this emotional stuff that I was kind of shedding each time, my blood's really started to change. Even, at that, like compared to like the first time they changed to the second time to probably if I got tested now, like they were continually like those autoimmunes were coming down. So just from giving myself that love and that attention, and you really taught me like slowing down, and looking at my capacity, and I think it's just the way you model yourself as a person. So like the way that you manage your time, the way that you manage your capacity, the way that you look at health, and I know as well that you've had stuff in the past with your own like disordered eating and things like that. So I feel like it really helped me unravel a can of worms basically, because it wasn't anything to like the food was the way that I was eating, and even the way I was running my life was all up down to trauma, and it wasn't actually, and the disease, the disease was as a result of that. And you really helped me to get under that. Whereas when I'd worked with a nutritionist before, she is just treating the eating and let's eat this, let's have these supplements, when that really wasn't ever my problem because I can do that. It was more the other things. So for me personally, the fact that you touched on the mental, the emotional, and allowed me as well to, like to give me my own power of your intuition, and your body knows better. So you need to start to hear the intuition and your body. And at first I couldn't, because that noise of the nervous system was so loud. And then it was very clear to me, it was like the way that I had my life. And I really it's something that's very much stayed with me, because as I've been unraveling this and like changing my life, because I really took full responsibility for my health and well-being, and you were like the perfect person to help me to with such sensitivity and care to address some of those things that were quite hard.
So I think it's really important to have a compassionate approach because, nobody, a lot of us, we don't choose just to do things as much as we can say, oh, why don't you just do that? I mean, if it was that simple, everybody would be eating well, wouldn't they? Because we all fundamentally, deep down inside, know what we should and shouldn't be eating. But then it's when we start to address these blocks. And my way is always to get you back into your body and attune to yourself because you are actually your own practitioner. You just needed, most people just need a facilitator to help guide them back. And this is probably because I experienced this myself in my own health. I know how powerful it is. And another thing that you touched on, the tests, tests don't lie. As much as like some people can say, oh yeah, you might be just feeling good because of placebo, which by the way, we also know actually works at cellular level, but the tests don't lie. So functional testing can be a really important tool because I know you came with a set of results to me, and when we done another set of tests, it was amazing to see those markers just go down, and we knew we had been doing the work sort of at a 360 level where we're covering everything, and that is true transformation, and it does take time. There are no
Yeah.
overnight fixes. The overnight
No.
fixes fade away just as quick as they come.
Yeah, and I wasn't perfect. Like I was very human with it. So I did go back and forth. I really see it as my ego self just coming back, like the protective parts of me just coming back. It's like, let's have another dance with sugar. Let's go have another dance with that particular relationship. Because the toxins in my life wasn't just food, it was my thoughts, it was my beliefs, it was the way I ran my life. And what I really realize now is it was the toxic environment was me. Like I was the toxic environment because of and since I was a little girl, like where I was born in my mum's womb, she was very anxious. So I'd always, that was so normal for me. And I think part of our work together was the defrosting of all of that and finding my way to wellness, um, which is such a journey. But like you said, even though it wasn't perfect, like I wasn't perfect, every time that I'd had the tests, there was significant difference.
Yeah, I love that because you have to do it in a human way. We're not robots where we can just cut things out. And when we do that, it's very easy for those things to slip in just as fast, but for a longer term. So if you could pick one thing, you've said so many, if you could pick one kind of profound insight or shift you experienced during our time together, what would that be?
Um, so I would say like what I said there about like it, me being the problem, but also how embedded trauma was from the past and how that was causing so much of the disease. And I think just having that space, having somebody that understood trauma and things like that. Like I come from that background anyway, but I think having you around to support me to find those answers, that was really huge for me because that was so core for me personally as the reason for my disease. So you kind of really helped me to find that route and then to address that route so that the healthy behaviors could come. And
Right.
unfortunately, that route was huge. So, there was a lot coming out of that. But I think that is life changing. So that I will have long-term vitality as a result of that. Whereas if I had just ignored it and never addressed it, never had the test, and just I was talking about this with my mum today, like, and no shame, but lots of people will have an illness, they'll go to the doctors and get a tablet, and that's like normal, I guess. But this is so much more empowering because you are addressing why you got sick and you really helped me figure that out.
So there's symptom suppression, which is easy, and that's in the medical world, that is the modality. And it just goes somewhere else. Root cause is something else because that is where the real shift is going to happen when you're looking at, well, why is this like this? Why have I got this disease? So bringing in those kind of metaphysical elements as well, I feel like give you so much clarity
Yeah,
and
yeah, definitely.
give you words and things about whatever dysfunction or whatever imbalance is going on that you're even like when you look at it, it's quite profound. Like where
Yeah.
it makes complete sense actually that this is going on with my body if we're completely honest. Yeah, so that element I absolutely love. Um, so with everything you've done, obviously, how has your, I know you've touched on this already, how has your renewed health and energy impacted like your business, your mindset? Like how has it affected all of that? Because we see so many women now, in business, which is amazing, but then we see so much burnout as well.
My
We see
God.
so much that it's difficult for them to stop actually when they've created a certain momentum. And some of these people are really struggling with their health and band-aiding it with all these little things. And Dr. Google's amazing because you can look at things till the cows come home. But I think working with somebody is completely different. So yeah, how has it impacted your business and mindset? And what would you say to other women who are perhaps in that burnout stage?
Yeah, so you know what? I saw something on Instagram yesterday. I'm gonna do a piece of content on this, and it gave me the serious ick because it was like I can just see when I scroll that, oh my God, that woman's exhausted. That woman's exhausted. Like you can see it everywhere. Oh, she's just pumping out content. She's got loads of one-to-ones. And I was there, so I'd got like when we worked together that year, I hit six figures and I'd had five-figure months. And I remember at the end of my six-figure year being like, oh, I can't do that again. That was horrible. I didn't enjoy it. It felt icky. I felt like I was pushing and forcing and controlling. And I carried on because a lot like some of these women that you're speaking about, you're afraid of like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to get money, or I need to maintain a certain lifestyle. So it's not safe for me to put myself first. I'm very grateful because alongside doing our work, the universe played a number on me and like basically started to take away my clients. So I had a lot of space. And actually, through that, and again, through the work that we did, because I could hear my intuition, I was connected more to my body. I actually completely changed my business. So I only see clients on one day a week. I like have loads of space. Basically, also last year I didn't work very much. I had months off. I had yeah, multiple months off actually, and I still made the same amount of profit as my six-figure year. So even though my sales did go down, um, obviously because I was working less, but like my say my the what I took home was exactly the same, pretty much exactly the same. So I think for anybody listening, even though it feels really, really scary to put yourself first and put your health first, it's actually you're being led down a different road where I was running my business like a man, to be quite honest. I was following marketing male strategies. I was in this very masculine energy, and my body and hormones were paying the price of that. So then it took me down this other road of more like feminine led business. And, last year, like I said, same bottom line. This year, because I'm healthier and I have more capacity, I'm now like scaling the foundation I created, which I know is something that could take me to multi six figures and beyond with less work whilst taking care of myself. And that's all because I'm no longer dysregulated so badly that I'm following outside advice and external things. I'm able to hear my own intuition. So I truly believe that it's actually life changing to do it, to follow your body, and that actually becomes a skill that you can use in your business. And yeah, like I don't have to run like that anymore. I can decide, oh, actually I don't want to create content this month because I've got some emotional things to take care of, but I've done that inner work to be able to still attract money and clients regardless. And that, I mean, that's a whole other subject, but none of that would have happened if I hadn't you weren't helping me to build those building blocks. So I think for anybody listening that's in that stage, please, it's not sustainable. What you're creating is not sustainable. It's hurting you. And
So
eventually,
that was my next question,
yeah.
that if you could share one message with other entrepreneurs who are feeling the burnout, feeling disconnected with their bodies, yet still maintaining, keeping up with, the world of Insta and social media, what would your message be to them?
Like a paradigm that you're kind of running in, which is like, oh, there's not enough clients, there's not enough money, it's like this never enough. And like, oh, there's no time for me to take care of myself. But actually, when you decide to do like the inner work, the mindset work, the energetic work, the health healing, you are actually increasing your vibration. So you will, in theory, you will can do less and attract more. So I would just say that your body, your higher self, it's leading you down this path along that feminine approach to business for a reason. And I'm just so grateful for my disease, for my miscarriage, because it has completely transformed my life. And I'm still on that journey. I'm not completely out of it yet. But the fact that I run a business where most of the week, I'm not busy. I was painting in my garden yesterday, like coming up with marketing strategy. I'm more creative. I have better ideas. I have more aligned clients. And that's from being well, basically. So yeah, it's kind of a lie. And I really feel I'm very passionate about this, that we really have to just run our businesses in a different way and just be brave enough to do the healing work to be able to do that.